You know, they said when a digital came out that film is dead, but film is not quite dead.
I love film because it surprises me every time. I've been shooting on film for, what, 8 years now? God, that's crazy. And still, it surprises me. Every time I get a rollback, I'm excited. Every time I develop, or every time I make a print, I'm excited because you don't know what you're gonna get.
28, 29. I really like the tactile experience of loading the film, shooting the film. Having a finite amount of shots per roll definitely helps me slow down. I like the results I get when I get it out of the camera. And I'm also really partial to the cameras themselves, the history of using old cameras and becoming a part of the story of whatever specific camera it is that I'm using.
2 years ago when I went to develop, I would ask them and they'd say it's going to take a week, and now they say it's going to take a month. Just because it's so popular, and there are very few places that are providing these services.
The process is really wasteful from start to finish, but the industry overall, it definitely concerns me, especially as more people seem to be getting involved in film photography.
I think that waste and kind of the idea of sustainability within film, photography, and development and the whole process is sort of a difficult subject. We don't want to waste any of this. Mainly just because it's kind of one of those things that is impossible to avoid.
Depending on what the process is, you will have different stages. So if you, for instance, develop film, you would start with a developer, and the developer is not recyclable, so you would then discard it into the recycling bin, so that would be picked up, so you can only use it once. However, when you mix, then the next stage is of stop bath, which basically stops the developing of the silver halides. That is recyclable in a sense that you can use it over a period of time. Eventually it will exhaust itself. And then the next stage would be the fixer, and that is the same process in terms of you could recycle it and reuse it over a period of time, and it will eventually exhaust itself. And then we have the perma wash, and then what we call photo flow. So all of these things, the photo flow is just a soapy material, so that we just can put down the drain. So there's nothing going down the drain except when you wash your film with water. And that's where I'm saying, you know, that is where the water waste comes in. I just want to see how you coat paint, okay? Yeah, any more of these? It's wasteful, but also just not good for the environment. So finding newer ways, sustainability in terms of in photography is something that I hope we can achieve somehow. I mean, even with digital photography, you're not totally sustainable yet, but I think that is a negative. It would help if the industry would create some more advances in terms of more sustainable chemicals. I don't know what that would mean, but I think we all would embrace it.
The core mission of our business, and that's just the nature of the business, of selling this type of equipment, means that we mostly sell used equipment. And selling used equipment usually means it needs to have some kind of servicing or refurbishment, because there's a limit to how long things can be in continuous use without this type of service. The real driving force behind this business goal is the basic concepts of sustainability. So all these cameras that are behind me, they're all used without exception. And all of these cameras, without us, in a sense, would have ended up in a landfill because they have no material value or use outside of the scope of what we do here. So that's the first aspect of recycling and sustainability that we have. We recycle, reuse almost 95% of all shipping materials that enter this building. We only started buying packing and shipping materials relatively recently, when our business exceeded the amount of materials that we receive from people who send stuff to us. So it's almost pure whole recycling. The overarching key aspect of sustainability is that we're aware. The photographic process, forgot my film, requires hugely unsustainable technologies and manufacturing technologies to be made. This requires animal products. Animal products are wholly unsustainable. But there isn't yet a technology to avoid using gelatin. Historically, I think that a lot of people, when they go into the darkroom, they open the faucet and run it. And one of the first things that people do, or when I was teaching photography, was to tell people you can't just leave the faucet and go. You can't just turn the faucet on and come back in an hour. That's not how the world works. That's hugely wasteful. And to instill this notion that water wasting has a huge cost can bring huge amounts of sustainability into the darkroom. Film processing requires water. No way about it. It has to have water. But does it need an infinite amount of water, or can you do it with a tiny amount of water? And the answer is you can do it with a tiny amount of water.